The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph.
A fiercest serpent may be overcome by a swarm of ants.
Lead me, follow me, or get out of my way. Age wrinkles the body, quitting wrinkles the soul.
Battle buddies.
Battle buddies.
World is changing.
All right, so I have a really important battle that I've been noticing, and I think it's been going on undetected. Analysts are not on it, and that is the battle that goes on in bathrooms between spouses every night over this great nation and probably the world, and that is there enough toothpaste for me to put on my toothbrush, or should I be the one that has to go get the next tube of toothpaste? And my wife and I wage this battle fiercely.
Do you try to squeeze it out as much as possible before you have to move on?
I refuse to give in. I refuse to lose this battle. And, I'm like barely crimping it, right? And like getting every little bit, using all my little old rock climber muscles I used to have. I gotta get it. And I won the other night. It was like last night. And there was a brand new fucking bottle of toothpaste. And I was like, I did it. But I didn't realize, this is the problem marrying people that are smarter than you, is that just like ancient Persia, or just like the ancient Greeks, I guess, she flipped it around on the narrative, and it became this high road that she got to take of, I just love you so much, I just want to make sure you always have enough toothpaste, Kevin. I'm not going to play that game. You're a liar. You fought that every night with me. You fought that fight.
I can relate to that. I had my uncle used to keep a certain type of tape in the drawer to like keep it cinched down as things were getting towards the end there.
That's serious.
That's dedication.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's taking it to the next level. Man, I thought you were going to hit me with something real fierce there for a second.
It gets pretty heated, not going to lie.
Pretty contested. What did you get yourself into this week about planet Earth and all of our troubles?
Well, I was really hoping that just no more war. Like maybe it's all done. We did it, guys. Maybe those, ISIS members surrendering was it.
Nothing but peace.
So I've been snooping around on my Spotlight on Global Jihad network that I'm on now. I'm just embracing I don't know.
Has the FBI come and knocked on your door yet?
Yeah, not, like I see little cars hanging out on the outside.
Satellites.
Yeah, little Men in Black moments, and it is what it is at this point. In for a penny, in for a pound. Oh, I do want to say, though, that thank you those that have been talking to us through email and on like Reddit and different forums, because I read through all the discussions that you guys had on IEDs, and like that was really fascinating. I think some Marines were posting on one of the forums about all the different types of goddamn IEDs that you guys have been dealing with over the last several years and how sophisticated they were. And it really like was a humbling moment for me, because we're talking about this from the safety of our house. And even though you're telling me terrifying methods that they were using to get around it, and then I was reading one comment and he talked about like, hundreds of people dying over the course of a war from like this one uber specific IED that he was dealing with. And like, it's crazy.
Yeah. The reception on the internet, the web, the World Wide Web has been awesome. I appreciate everyone who's been listening to us so far. The Reddit sphere, do people call it that?
I think you call it that.
The Reddit sphere.
Should people call it the Reddit sphere?
I will get that viral. I'm going to get that going. Has been super awesome. I've been enjoying the communication that I've been having with veterans and non-veterans alike. Just talking about all the things that we've been getting into. Like you said, there was an EOD tech that I was speaking to who was in the Army, wrote a book recently called Defused about his time overseas in Iraq as an EOD tech with the Army by Archer Phoenix. Super awesome. Just want to say deep down from like my soul how grateful I am for everyone who's been listening so far. And welcome to Battle Buddies. Welcome to this little slice of me and Kevin's brains where we pretend to talk like we know what we're talking about when it comes to conflict, war, strategies, tactics,
Love.
life, love, and other mysteries.
Yeah, great mystery.
Yeah, we are on the internet now. We have a Twitter. I think it's at BattleBuddies4. We're on Instagram, battle_buddies_pod.
Pod? That sounds right.
Yep. And
I'll
if
get you close.
And if you're close enough. And if you want to email us with any ideas, any battles that you want to hear in the future, or if you want to perhaps, if you have any experience overseas with any particular battles, feel free to absolutely email us, and we will have no problem having you on the show where you can talk to us about some war stories. You can crack open a beer while you tell us, and it can be a pretty relaxed conversation. We're not going to interrogate you in any way. And here we are. This is another At Ease episode. So an At Ease episode, we talk about current conflicts that are happening on the planet. We try to pick ones that aren't really popular on the mass media, you know, the typical things that you're seeing on CNN and Fox and MSNBC, which right now is, of course, Ukraine. We are trying to dive into uncharted waters.
Yes.
No pun intended, because you're going to see where I'm going with this, and for my subject this week. But again, welcome to our show. I am humbled and very excited about all the people who've been listening.
Yeah, and we had a sponsor. That was cool.
Yeah,
that felt legit.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. Go check out Anchor.fm. All right, man. Well,
Yeah.
let's get her going.
Okay, so I'm looking again at Nigeria and what ISIS has been doing. A little bit of positivity.
Seriously?
And, yeah, which is
I love it.
Well, I mean, we're gonna start positive. We're gonna get really sad, and then we're gonna end with a positive.
Ooh, a
note.
sandwich.
A little sandwich. And the first thing is that this is our second straight week of a decrease in ISIS violence. So thank you, ISIS.
Can you put in some kids going, yay?
Yeah, right. So, because if you listen to the last Addies, I was freaking out because they were on this vengeance campaign after we had. No, I'm not saying we killed the leader of ISIS. We were going to arrest him probably, and then he blew himself up like an asshole. And
Dick move.
killed lots of people.
That's the technical term for it.
Yeah, that is what everyone probably says.
That's what the intelligence reports say.
Yeah. I think you could be in church and be like, that was a dick move. And no one would be like, you can't say that in here. Like, it was a dick move.
Yeah, you would hear someone in church say, that's a dick move. And then in the back, fuck that guy.
So there was a decrease. But I've been, focusing on Nigeria and trying to learn more. And it's still a little rough. On 5/14, there was an IED that hit an army patrol in the Yobe state, which is northeastern Nigeria, and so that was pretty brutal. And then 2 days before that, what's kind of scary right now for ISIS and Boko Haram and all those guys in Nigeria is that they are on 5/12. ISIS is claiming responsibility for firing a machine gun at a police checkpoint. And the issue, I mean, besides it being terrible, is that it was in central Nigeria, and they have never. There's never been any conflict there. Like, that's moving away from the northeast and we're going towards the center. And so we're going more into like a quote unquote, like safer part of Nigeria. And I was reading actually the US is the head of like the Anti-Extremist Council or something, one of those councils. And they were just made a speech about how like, even though there's like this decrease, like it is scary for Africa right now, and the Middle East, but like Egypt and Nigeria are getting a lot of pressure from ISIS groups, and like there is a legitimate threat of them kind of coming in right now.
Is there, I'm looking at a map here because I'm stupid, and Nigeria seems to be like, there's a bunch of port cities is what, like close to Nigeria. Is that right?
Right.
Is that affecting any logistics? And, like, are terrorists kind of chilling on the ports and affecting anything like that, or are we not? Have we not gone that deep yet?
I haven't seen anything on it. Most of it has been like that Lake Chad area.
Yeah.
Like everything is still revolving around there, but that's mainly Boko Haram. But like I said last time, I still don't truly understand the difference between ISIS and Boko Haram and Al Qaeda, and it's just they all seem mean.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah,
You guys
Okay.
are mean.
Let's go into it's a happy sad in that on 5/11, a couple days before this, the Nigerian army did stop an ISIS attack in eastern Nigeria, which
Let's
is cool.
go.
Yeah, unfortunately, their army commander is still missing. So like,
Let's not go.
yeah, like God, that sucks. Like you're, Memorial Day coming up and stuff. Like that's a hero right there. Like he led a Nigerian army in to stop like a legitimate threat to their freedoms, and like they did it. They were successful. So that army commander was clearly competent, right? Because we talked about it last time. Just looking at the topographical maps, like there's so many valleys in these areas and like little ditches and stuff they have to run through, and they clearly are using IEDs and mines to make that really difficult. So the fact that they're successful in stopping any of these kinds of attacks is just wonderful. But then a couple of days later on 5/14, the African coalition forces killed 2 ISIS commanders and in Lake Chad. So it's like, man, this is
Shit's popping off right now.
yeah, like this. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, there's a lot of exchanges right now happening if commanders are going. Like, if commanders are just disappearing, like it must be pretty hot there right now.
You would think that folks getting down on killing some Islamic extremism, or any extremism for that matter, that the rest of the world would be like, yo, keep it up. Or maybe,
Right.
hey, we'll send some help.
Yeah. Well, I think they are like the coalition.
Yeah, when you say coalition forces, that has to be multiple countries.
Yes, a lot of
right?
countries. It's headed by us. I didn't know we were heading it.
I
That's
did not
cool.
know that.
But it is like, is it a fatigue thing that it's out of the news cycle? Like, 'cause I'm not hearing about this, but like for these nations, it must be huge. Like they must all be talking about it.
Of
Like,
course.
hey,
It's
like-
just not glamorous for us, I
Right.
don't think.
right.
I don't, that makes me sad.
It does, especially
Yeah.
if we're doing the right thing. Like America's doing the right thing. Like,
For
this
once.
this is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, man. That is, learning about all this stuff is just super humbling because it just makes me realize how much I don't know what's happening.
Exactly. And the final thing that's happened in Nigeria is, man, I'm Elijah Ari, and he was a Boko Haram senior preacher and recruiter. So like this guy got their numbers up, and he just surrendered.
Oh,
Dope.
straight up.
It's awesome.
I'm done.
So, and again, maybe they're really fucking hungry because they surrendered because of famine a couple weeks ago too. So keep doing what you're doing with
That's
the
name
starving
of
them
it's
out.
the name of the game. The name of the game is getting people's supply lines and starving them out. Shall we go to the East China Sea?
Let's go to the East China Sea.
Okay. So, here we are on the East China Sea. For those of you who don't know, and I didn't prior to like a couple days ago, the East China Sea was formerly claimed by Japan. The Senkaku and Diaoyu Islands in the East China Sea, they've had that since 1895. For about 120 years, Japanese citizens. What's up? You have a question?
No, so that was right when. So that's like Meiji Restoration into their other era that comes right after that, when they were trying to become imperialists.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
but
that's an
the
intense-ass time.
interesting thing here is that like the Japanese government doesn't own these islands that are in the East China Sea. It's owned by like private citizens of Japan.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So other than a brief period in World War II when the United States controlled the territory, which you and I doing our recent studying of some battles in World War II, Archipelago.
Oh, you said I can never say it. Whenever I played
How do you say it?
Well, I think the word architect, and then I'm like, well, I don't have to fucking say it to anybody because I'm playing Civilization by myself and my kids are asleep. So, architect it is.
So Archipelago, I looked it up. It just means a group of islands.
Yeah, a bunch of small islands.
Yeah. Great.
I only know that because when I play as the Maori and I'm settling, I just always like to go on the architect map.
So the United States controlled these for a little while after World War II. And then in the 1970s, China was like, hey, so this is called the East China Sea. We're China. Technically, these are like ours, no? And so Japan is like, nah, they're like citizens own that. And so then these citizens sold these little islands. And look at these islands. This is like where Luke Skywalker has been chilling in the lotus position.
Yeah, that is exactly a sassy Luke island.
So again, listeners, anytime that we are talking about images, we will be posting the images that we are speaking about the day that the episode drops on our social media feed.
Yes.
Whether it be Twitter or the grams of Insta variety. Instant grams.
Instant grams.
Instant graham crackers. That sounds
It'd
delicious.
It'd be nice if Instagram gave you a little graham cracker.
We sound so out of touch. All right. And so why does China want these islands? When you think about territories, it's not just like, oh, I just want these islands. It's not a pride thing. It really is not. Under the sea of the Eastern China Sea is loads and loads of oil and natural gas. And
Every time.
I believe, and I apologize for any listener who knows this correct information, but I believe 13,000 different species of fish. So,
whoa.
Yeah. So it's a biologically...
13 different species of fish? That's a lot. Is that what you were trying to say?
No.
130?
Does that sound absurd?
That sounds absurd.
Okay, maybe it is.
No, it's probably correct. The ocean's weird.
It's weird. So
Real
this is
dark.
a biologically diverse piece of little ocean here. And that's why China wants it, because they want resources, these resources.
They want the fish. They don't want the oil.
Just the fish.
They just want the fish.
They're like, the oil, we have enough of that. We just want the fish. I eat the fish. So yeah, that's where we are with the East China Sea. Like they have, and I'll show you some pictures here. So this is from an island like on the coast of Japan. Right here you see a Japanese soldier just chilling, staring at the ocean, waiting for shit to happen. And so what you'll notice with what these
looks
do,
hella bored.
he is bored.
Yeah.
That's what being on watch is just standing around.
That poor guy.
But you'll notice that when it comes to things like the words tension, and I'm going to get into it more with the next conflict that I bring up here, all people do when they're in territorial disputes, specifically in the ocean, they just practice military exercises in front of each other, just flexing, you know what I'm saying?
Just peacocking.
Just peacocking. Just being like, look at all these missiles we have. Ooh, yeah. And so right now it's kind of a Cold War. Just waiting for some, it's a fuck around and find out scenario.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get way more into this after you share your next one, because I got a big one next.
I want to go back to, I mean, there's some shit happening in Egypt right now. That's pretty intense, but
You've been chilling on the continent of Africa.
yeah, well,
It's a big place.
it's a big place. But I want to go into the battle for hearts and minds again. So
Oh,
this is,
boy.
again, for those that didn't listen to our last At Ease, I've been getting into ISIS's editorials. They're weekly articles.
How are those? Tasteful?
You know, they are. I don't know if I'm like upset that they're so normal. You know, like
Legitimately, how are they written? Is it pretty palatable?
it's really well done.
Oh no.
Like in terms of like rhetorical like strategies, like they have educated people doing them, and what we see, because I'll talk about two. So like the first is like this is like what they circulate, right? These are their little pamphlets, and there's this the cover of it. You may not be able to see it. I'll post it on the Instagram too. But like they, you know, it's just like this article. It's all in whatever.
Looks like a normal newspaper.
Yeah, and at the top there's like this big picture banner, and so I found like a big shot of it. It's just dudes hugging.
Yeah.
And because like
Brotherhood.
it's just brotherhood, and I was like, damn it, like that's such a good strategy. Like even though you're this radical group, you are trying to use these pieces of propaganda to get more people on your side. So you show people not engaging in these violent behaviors, but engaging in non-violent, brotherly like behaviors. And this is very similar to the one that I was reading about last time about Ramadan, and they're all eating together, and there was nothing about the violence.
So I have a question that perhaps you know the answer to. How are these pieces of news distributed? Just on social media, or
I have no idea.
I would love to know. I would be interested to know.
All right, that's going to be the next thing as I look at how they disperse them, because I have no idea.
You know what I mean?
I assumed that they just like handed them out, but
Is there
it has to be more
an ISIS
sophisticated.
paper boy doing his paper route in the morning, just throwing, here's your propaganda?
Just going hella fast. Can't get caught while I'm doing this. Yeah, man. Okay, so like that's like their main thing. So that's pretty normal. Like they're using like basic propaganda, like just like we other ISIS all the time, right? Like they're monsters, and so like I assumed that they were monsters, and then when they have pictures of them hugging each other, I'm like, oh man, like it's not that simple. I'm like, shit. So like that was clearly good. So most of their language is, you know, trying to really focus on getting the hatred up against the Egyptian army, because the Egyptian army is like really starting to step it up. And they're starting to get airports going, and so they're starting to put more pressure. And they're essentially what's happening in Egypt is they're kicking ISIS out of the villages where they were kind of hiding, which is a good thing. But now they're going to retaliate, and they're trying to like build up support for that, which sucks. That being said, we don't see that. Instead, what we see are the videos, right? We always, on the news cycles, they'll post the videos and shots of the videos that ISIS will release.
Yeah.
And so they released a video at the same time, and it's called "A Message to the Infidel West," and
Yay.
it's just like exactly what you think it is. You know, it's the speaker notes that the jihad will continue and that killing ISIS's leaders will not prevent this. He addresses Christians, Jews, infidels, and those loyal to them, saying that they should not think that killing ISIS leaders will cause ISIS to grow weak and surrender. And he just, you know, says he's going to lead ISIS strikes and kill everybody, and all the dictators of the world are going to suffer. Which I think is honestly their weakest video they've ever done, because by even saying, we won't be weaker that you killed our leader, I'm now thinking, are you weaker because we killed your leader? Like, you shouldn't have said it out loud.
Now we know that your leader's dead.
Yeah, like the better
So-
rhetoric is not to say it and say, we're stronger than ever, like something like that.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that they are using, that's a pretty sophisticated strategy to have like an internal piece of propaganda and then have your external pieces of propaganda and have them clearly separated based on the audiences you want to read them.
Well, right, because you have to think in your mind, what are they thinking that we're afraid of?
Right.
They think that we're sitting here with the thought of like, oh man, their leader's dead, but they don't care. That's so scary.
When we're like, did you know their leader died?
Bro, their leader's dead. That's awesome.
You're assuming that we are not ignorant of
Right. I think it's interesting from their perspective. Like, how do we scare them?
Yeah.
Interesting. What scares them?
Well, apparently losing their. I'm thinking that they're hella scared that they lost their leader. They're only now admitting it, and it happened a long time ago.
This is all in Egypt?
Well, so right now that internal article was trying to like bolster their Egyptian support because they're trying to get back into the villages to have their support there.
I feel as though Egypt, in comparison to a lot of other places where ISIS extremism would be, I feel as though Egypt is pretty modern.
Yeah, what did they say? Okay, so in their article, they say essentially that Egypt is assisting the defense of Israel, but they don't call it Israel. They call it the mini Jew state.
No.
Yeah, I was like, ugh,
Don't-
even for ISIS, a little rough.
Don't love that.
That's not a great term.
Not proud of you today, ISIS. The little Jew state. That's a hard J.
Sorry, the mini
Yikes.
state of the Jews.
Not better.
Not any better. Just trying to be accurate here.
Yikes, the mini state of the Jews. Oh, man. Okay. So, sidebar, I have a coworker who is very Jewish. And I mean, to the point where
Describe without getting in trouble.
she just recently got a tattoo with Hebrew on her forearm.
Oh, that's cool.
Has in her classroom the Star of David flag, like the I believe that's the Israel flag, or perhaps Jerusalem. Because I asked her what it means. She told me in English what it means, and then I said, "How do you say it?" And she was like, "No clue." I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries." And I like whatever. I really don't care. And so today, I wasn't today, but during this week, we're battle buddies, so I'm always interested in asking. I was like, "Hey, can you educate me on the conflict between Palestine and Israel?"
Ooh,
and
sure.
she was like, "Nah." But the point, this isn't a disparaging comment
No,
on it. The point of this is that we have these episodes to point out that all the messed up shit going on the planet right now, common folk do not really know
Right.
about.
Right.
And that's the point. Like I was glad that she did that. She was like,
That
I
was
have
really
no-
cool that she did that instead of just being like, fucking hate the one people. Right? Like,
Yeah. No, she was like, I should know, and I do not know. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, fair
That's
enough.
cool.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
It-
And also the reading, you can't judge too harshly. Because I remember there's that great Frasier episode where he's going to the bar mitzvah or whatever, and he is trying to give the speech, and his buddy played a joke on him and taught him how to say it in Klingon instead of Hebrew. But then we watch everything with subtitles because we have young kids, so we have to keep all the volumes
Yes.
low. And the props to the people doing the captions, they captioned it in Klingon. Like
Love it.
It was so cool.
Interesting. Was Frasier on CBS?
I have no idea. I've only watched it on Hulu.
I
over and over
asked
again.
because Star Trek was on CBS.
Oh, hey, cool.
That's where
little
my
connection there.
brain is
Yeah.
going with that. Let's go to the South China Sea.
Yeah, everything's great.
So
So the Japanese returned the islands. They said sorry. and just
we
gave it back.
got more issues in the South China Sea than just Japan.
Okay.
So this one's kind of a doozy.
More fish.
I'm going to show you a picture of the South China Sea so that you can understand where we're at on the planet. That
Okay.
kind of helps me just like to orient
Sure.
yourself. And again, listeners, we will be posting all these images on our social media when this episode drops. So this is the South China Sea, this huge chunk of ocean here.
It's a lot of ocean.
It's a lot of. So just for listeners, it's near Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, Taiwan, and of course Hong Kong. So it's
So-
like south of Hong Kong.
So without any like good historical context, I'm like, it wasn't good in the 70s there.
Oh,
That's just where I'm going immediately.
Dear
60s and 70s
God.
were rough in that area, I assume. Or Zoolander.
yeah. So There's going to be a couple things I'm going to have to just legitimately explain here, and bear with me, and feel free to pause and ask me any questions. We got the same kind of thing going on here in the South China Sea. It is rich with diversity with fish, and it's got billions of untapped oil fields as well as natural gas.
Okay, so is the fish comparable to the oil?
As far as like how plentiful it is?
Well, in terms of like the value, like are they like there's oil, there's also fish?
100%.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing is there's all these archipelagos
Hey, there you go.
in the like near the Philippines, above Malaysia, and all of these surrounding countries are claiming these little islands to be theirs, and they're fishing. However, China is like, but it's the South China Sea. But we're China, and this is the South China Sea, which, as I was reading all this, I was like, that kind of, I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Do they call it the South China Sea too? Or do they have their own name? Like, no, it's the Vietnam Sea.
It's a good question. I think it's just on planet Earth, it's called the South China Sea.
Okay, like everybody's like, we've given up on the name fight a long
I
time
have
ago.
not heard it referred otherwise. So, maritime law. I had to kind of look into some maritime law stuff here.
Yeah, you wanted to get married on the ocean.
Yep, that's when or it's when you have a merry time on
Oh, there you go.
while learning about law. Maritime law. Anyway. Dad jokes. Maritime law says that, and have a little picture here to show you. So, if you live on the coast, 12 nautical miles out from the coast, wherever you're at. So you and I here live in California, right? 12 nautical miles from the coast of California. That is still technically California. This little here, right?
Right.
Now, when you get 12 nautical miles past that, you're not technically in California anymore, but the Coast Guard can still go there and arrest folks, and it's still technically kind of within the breaches of the United States.
So there's like a legitimate gray area?
Yeah, kind of.
Whoa.
Yeah. Once you get past that, now we're at something called the exclusive economic zone. And it's a 200 nautical mile radius outside of the coast of wherever you may be. This is on planet Earth. It's not just for the United States. This is like the United Nations all agree that this is a thing.
Okay.
China does not agree this is a thing.
Of course.
So you have all of this ocean that is deep with oil reserves and natural gas and fish, and it is a huge trade route
Oh.
for logistics. That iPhone that you have sitting on the table over
Yeah.
there, that went through the South China Sea to get here.
Okay.
So it's huge, it's massive. And so potentially what could happen is that China could tax these trade routes, and we would have to send in Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan,
Right.
and then they would gas them, and then they would have to go to Bosnas. Anyway, I'm done with the Star Wars joke.
No, it's
but
good. I was really understanding it now. So is the South China, maybe I'm really bad at geography, but is that where the Suez Canal comes out? Is Egypt below that?
No. I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I do, but we can find that out.
Yeah, while you talk, I'm going to Google Maps.
So, we're talking, this is Battle Buddies. Let's talk about some trends and tactics here. This is where things get really interesting, and I'm kind of impressed as a just casual observer. Maritime law is under the impression that if a country finds an island and they take control of this island and nobody disputes it, it is technically that country's island. Okay?
Okay.
Seriously.
Really sketch.
It's bro, so the plot thickens, dude. So, China found these thick coral reefs in the South China Sea. they sent out these boats that sucked up sand from the ocean floor, and they started terraforming and pouring sand on these coral reefs. This right here is an image.
These are man-made islands.
Yes, they're military bases. They
And
started.
of course, they're also
They
military
started
bases.
dumping sand on these coral reefs and making their own islands.
God damn it.
And so this is imagery intelligence. I got this off of like open source intelligence websites because you were showing me up last week, and
Yeah.
I was like, I need to step up my game here. So these are aerial shots of like airstrips. They have, dude, look at that.
Whoa.
How nice that is.
That looks like...
There's radio towers there. I want to go there for vacation.
Yeah, it looks like Dried Tortugas or whatever, that national park. Looks awesome. By Key West.
Yeah, it looks wonderful.
By the way, we're going to look really dumb for anybody who knows geography. The South China Sea looks to me, just on a quick cursory glance, to be about like 5,000 miles away from the Suez Canal and south of it. So we're fine.
I hope by our 100th episode, you and I know planet Earth by like the back of our hand.
As soon as we make enough money from this Anchor sponsor, I'm going to buy us a big old map. Just have that hanging up while we record.
Hey folks, if we get to 1,000 listens, we can buy a $10 map. All right, so let's get those listens up. So, China has been making these man-made islands, right?
Because they're going to put orphans there. They're going to school them, educate them, really
It's
help
nothing
the world.
but great news. It's a win-win for everybody involved here.
Oh, no.
So, the strategy here is what I would assume like military strategists and intel analysts are referring to as active defense. Okay?
Okay.
So they pump up their military presence in the South China Sea. They don't really do anything aggressive.
Okay.
But they have a prepare for peace or pray for peace, prepare for war kind of mentality.
Okay.
Now, this is a luring tactic.
Right, it's like a bait.
It's kind of like when we were talking about Thermopylae with the feigned retreat.
Right.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
They want to lure people in and be like, fuck around and find out.
You know what it is? It's in The Lion King. We were just watching it, and it's when Nala gives Simba those eyes, those like come hither eyes.
Oh, yeah.
It's that look for sure.
Right.
Come here, everything's great.
So, as I was reading all of this, and you see when Pompeo was the, I believe, Secretary of State, when
I have no idea what you're talking about.
this is when Trump was in office.
All right.
So I think Pompeo was the Secretary of State,
I should know.
or
that.
he's like the Defense Secretary, probably Defense Secretary. Shame on us.
Yeah.
Well, while I was reading this, I was like, man, dude, China can't do that. This is like open water and it's the planets and blah, blah. We should go in there and do some stuff. It's like, but that's exactly what they want.
That's what they
That's
want.
that's the lure. So by going in there, which we have, you do exactly what I was talking about in the East China Sea. You just puff up your chest.
Right.
The United States Navy goes in there and does some sorties with their jets.
Yeah.
They drop some bombs in some empty water, and they the whole show of force is to explain and show China, this is just open water. You don't own this.
Right.
We're allowed to be here. Germany, I believe, did it this month. They just sailed through there like, haha, this is open water. There's nothing you can do.
That's crazy.
So 100% this is, again, Cold War. Like,
Yeah.
we're kind of sitting around and waiting for violence to happen. That's definitely what China wants to happen. I feel as though if you sat down, the problem is you got countries like Philippines and Malaysia around there, and I think China is kind of playing the bully politics of just, who's going to stop us?
Yeah.
So we're just going to continue to do it. They're making islands, which is so crazy to me.
Can we just leave the Philippines alone? Like, after we've been really into this Leyte Gulf stuff, and Japan really just was like, I hate all of the Philippines. Like, and that was our whole strategy. It was like, I'm going to conquer all of it, all the small islands. And man, just like, imagine being a dude, just like, fucking leave me alone a little bit.
Well, for sure. Can we say for I mean, I never really knew this, but the Philippines are 100% our ally, no?
I would imagine they would be after
Since
all
World War
that.
II?
Yeah.
I will return.
Yeah. God. Even though we had that guy.
Yeah, Mr. MacArthur making his promises and keeping them to the Philippines. We are, so I believe, and again, this is at ease, folks. This is just casual conversations about it. But
Email us at battlebuddiespod.
for those who are
gmail.com.
like stationed in the Philippines right now, like you idiots, email us and let us know where we're wrong. But I think we're supplying them with not just money, but some weapons in case things do go down.
I would imagine.
Because that's the United States move, right?
Well,
Let's
isn't
just
that-
give them weapons.
That's because when you said Cold War, I was like, oh, cool. So like we'll have another proxy war. Like that's the go-to method, which is always a good time for the people involved in the proxy war.
I'm just looking forward to the Call of Duty that comes out about this war.
Oh Jesus!
You know what I mean? That's usually what that's the best outcome of war these days.
That's what really matters.
That's what really. But those games got to come through the South China Sea to get here.
They do.
So yeah, I did a bunch of research on the East and South China Sea, and I got to say, I feel like I'm in the know a little bit here. I got to learn about exclusive economic zones in the ocean.
Yeah, that's kind
I
of cool.
do want to. So, your brother and my brother, seemingly different people. Have you always noticed that Dan Carlin says seemingly a lot?
He does say seemingly.
Seemingly different people. I believe my brother went to Hong Kong. That means he had to have sailed through the South China Sea.
Oh yeah.
I would love to hear if there was any banter on the ship about that.
So let me tell you what it's going to be like when I'm going to bring my brother here. Okay, my brother's here. I'll ask him. Hey,
Redacted.
when you're on the submarine, did you go through the South China Sea?
Redacted.
Oh, cool. And after that, like, did you check out like the Suez Canal, make sure everything is cool?
Redacted.
All right, cool. Learning about submarines is a lot of fun.
Okay. I'm. Oh, you called him.
Redacted.
Yeah, that's his name.
I know, but because he's super hush hush, I was gonna say we could call him Devin, Kevin and Devin.
I'm gonna redact his name, and it's just gonna say redacted every time it's supposed to say his name.
Yeah, Mr. Active Duty here.
Yeah.
My brother is out. He don't give a fuck. He's an open book, I'm pretty sure. I watched on Netflix the 3 Mile Island about the nuclear reactor.
I was going to watch it, but I heard that it doesn't make you feel good.
Oh no. But also, so can we just openly say that both of our brothers were nuclear engineers in the Navy?
Yeah, sure.
Nukes in the Navy?
I think that's common knowledge.
You're allowed to. You can look that up on the internet.
It's on the internet.
Ooh,
The Alabama posted it on Facebook once, I think.
naughty. So the entire time I was watching this documentary, I just texted my brother the entire time. Did you know Jimmy Carter was a nuke in the Navy? Of course he knows. Anyway, it's the entire nuclear science and history on planet Earth with human beings and nuclear energy. It seems like the Navy is kind of the only one that's gotten it right.
The Navy's intense with it. Who's the admiral? Does your brother knows his name?
The Godfather
Yeah.
of the. Hold on, I know exactly. I sent him a shirt that I found
All right,
on
while
the internet.
Spencer's looking at, let me tell you about this guy because I don't remember his name because I don't pay attention that closely. But I pay attention to how he interviewed. He was the admiral, and when he would interview people to become sub-nukes,
Hyman Rickover.
yeah, Rickover, he would saw the chairs uneven, and then would have the officers come to get interviewed, and so it'd be uneven, but
you
they have to
serious?
sit at attention. And then he would grill them for multiple hours. That's the story. And it was like the most intense thing. And they had to like sit straight. And the
I
chairs
never
wobbling
knew
the whole
this.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I sent my brother a shirt with this dude's face on it that said "The Godfather." I think it said "Who's your daddy?" or "The Godfather" or something like that. But these Navy, the United States Navy, and the gentlemen who work in the nuclear reactors on these ships, I mean, they don't have accidents. They never have. They never will.
Not that I would ever know.
They don't have accidents, dude.
Yeah,
They are squared away.
because they are squares. But like, I really appreciate them being squares to keep everybody safe.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, I got some shit on Memorial Day.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you done? Are we done talking about conflicts?
Yeah, we're done talking about.
Let's talk about Memorial Day. More conflict.
Okay,
Give it to me. First of all, if you guys are listening to this when it came out, this should be Memorial Day weekend, if not Memorial Day.
we're trying to really time this with topical events happening.
Happy Memorial Day, dude.
Happy Memorial Day. Is it a happy day?
It's
Yeah.
celebrating freedom and what people have. I don't know. I don't know if I can call it happy.
Happy. It's a day. Thank you.
I don't want to be an asshole. We get a day off, so yeah, it's fucking happy. But like,
Okay.
Jesus.
So I tried to, like my degrees are in English and like rhetoric, and so I try to I want to go that route. But
Nerd alert.
yeah, huge nerd. I know, and I was re-listening to because I was editing the Thermopylae Part 2, and I was like really harping on that guy for being a nerd that was talking about the turtle shells, and I forgot to put the caveat in there like. He's a huge nerd, and I love him for being a huge nerd. And I was like,
the most important part.
All right, but I was getting into Memorial Day, and I was like, okay, well, I can do like etymology. I can research like where these things come from, but it gets pretty murky with Confederacy.
Oh no!
And
don't do this.
so I was like,
to
no,
me.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna steer clear of it and turn left instead. So I turned left, and I have two fun things to talk about. The first, well, this isn't fun. I don't know why it's such fun. But the first is that be careful out there on Memorial Day weekend because they estimate there will be, I was reading on the National Safety Council.
It's the drunk driving thing.
I don't know if you read the National Safety Council, but they give estimations. And there's going to be 450 deaths on Memorial Day weekend from drunk
DUIs.
drivers.
Oh, fuck, dude.
And then I was looking at the numbers because what's cool about the National Safety Council, if you aren't a nerd and don't like to look at that stuff, is they give you their confidence intervals. So they have a 90% confidence interval, so it's like 360 to 540, whatever. But then they give you all of their data for previous years. And if you look at it, the amount of drunk driving, like fatalities, is 10% higher than the yearly average. And that was pretty sobering, pun intended, for driving on Memorial Day weekend. That means that there's 10% more drunk drivers causing accidents on that weekend than any other weekend statistically out of the year.
So we were told, for those out there that have served or are currently serving I can only speak for the Marine Corps, obviously, but safety briefs. You have safety briefs every weekend before you get let go for...
Really?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Are they a lot of fun?
They're great.
Have
But-
fun out there.
So, from what I understood from all the thousands of Libo briefs that I was on, safety briefs,
They're called Libo.
Liberty. Sorry, I
Liberty.
should be explaining that
No,
to
it's
people
fine.
who don't know. Yes, Liberty is when you got free time.
Oh my God, they call your free time Liberty.
Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it? Put yourself in that boat.
Woo! It's like, it's a privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Goodness gracious. All right, you're giving me acid flashbacks.
I'm going to start teaching that way. And that's my kids are going to hate me.
Start calling recess Liberty. But from what I understood, Super Bowl weekend was the worst weekend for drunk driving.
It could be worse.
So this is actually really depressing information that
Yeah.
you brought to the table because it makes me think and I believe this statistic may have changed, and if it has, I apologize. But from my understanding, 20 veterans a day are killing themselves.
Right?
And I'm wondering if that's kind of going into it. First of all, if you're a veteran out there and you are suffering from any suicidal thoughts or having a rough time, email us at battlebuddiespod@gmail.com. I will give you my personal phone number and we can talk about whatever you want.
Yes.
And I know all the avenues to go through to get some help, and like just know that like we are here for you. There are tons of other people and resources out there that are there for you for free. And like Kevin was saying, like be safe. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
DUIs,
It's okay to not feel okay.
And put that'll be the name of the book.
Right. Seriously, Spencer and I have been talking a lot about like one of our big goals is to help people that are needing to get connected and connect them.
Yeah, it's all fun and
You guys have
games
been
here.
through some stuff that I don't understand at all.
Same.
Yeah.
Even me, who has been overseas and you know experienced shittiness, I still know that there's other people out there that have experienced like, whew, far
right?
more. Oh, good, bro. Every time that I see, I mean, I want to. Yeah, we're talking about Memorial Day. Every time I see Vietnam vets on the street in like San Francisco, I'm like, this should not be allowed.
Right.
Straight up not allowed.
Well, I was even just thinking about what I was going over my conflicts. Like, I couldn't imagine being a Nigerian, like, private, and then your commander gets captured or killed, and, like, you got to get home. I'm just trying to think of logistics. Like, holy shit.
That was this week, by the way.
Like, and, like, the dude was obviously good. So, like, just, like, me personally, like, I've really, like, you know, just who I am, like I really like latch on to mentors. And so like to have a mentor go away, if I was a private, I'd be like, well, I just give up now. Is that the strategy? Like, so for you guys that have like gone through that kind of stuff, like harrowing experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. So Memorial Day. So typically what I do on Memorial Day, for those of you who don't know, Kevin and I live in Solano County, and there is Travis Air Force Base in Fairfield. And so there's a pretty big military community here.
Yeah.
They go out to, a lot of volunteers go out to the cemeteries, and they, have you been to a cemetery on Memorial Day?
No.
Dude, there's American flags on every veteran's stone.
That's what I want to talk about.
Decoration Day. Is that what it used to be called? Decorative Day? Decoration Day?
That's when you get into the Confederacy stuff.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, it gets really weird.
Damn it.
It gets really weird. But we're not going to talk about that. Instead, I went the English nerd route instead. So I found this book called The Lady's Garland. Actually, I got here from Wikipedia. Because if you don't know on Wikipedia, when it has a little citation, you can click it. And then you can get taken down a wormhole.
Oh, yeah. It has its resource. It cites its sources.
References.
Yeah.
And so then the references can take you to references. And so anyway, I got onto this book, The Lady's Garland, Volume 6, from 1842. And I read, it was like these, pretty cool by itself. It's like a bunch of women posting like articles, essentially, and they get published in this book. And this lady, Gardenier, she wrote this article about decorating the grave with flowers in 1842, and she goes through the history of different cultures putting flowers on graves, and it's awesome.
That's cool.
And so one thing that is very topical, the stuff we've already covered, the Persians are a huge fan of this, and the Persians learned it from
synchronicity.
The Persians learned it from the Medes. And then the Greeks learned it from the Persians.
Shut up.
Yeah. Like, this is like full circle moment.
Man, whenever you hear little bits like that, I just feel like it's very Buddhist and like we're on the right path.
Everything's great.
I love that, man. Whew, you had me worried with the Confederacy, and we just ended. That just brought me right back to positivity there.
Right? It is cool. And so what was interesting was she talked about all these different cultures, and then she says essentially no person ever breaks or disturbs the flowers, depending, like, no matter what the culture is. She goes through like different cultures have different flowers for different things. Like if you were a widow who died, you get a rose, or if you were unmarried, you get a rose, and like just like lots of cool things. But like universally, it was like sacrilege to ever disturb these flowers. And so like I like that like there's like a commonality, but then the people who don't follow the commonality. And this doesn't age well. She calls the Native Americans American Aborigines, which I don't know if that ages. I don't know the term Aborigine enough to know if that's like cool or not.
I thought that was
it's fine.
Highly Australian used.
I don't know. She's a little weird on that. But what she talked about is like they are the only group who doesn't do it. Their thing is you can't have anything on the grave. There can't be any weed or any blade of grass, and that's how you show respect.
Keep it clean and respectful. And
yeah, and I was like, that's kind of cool that you can have both, and it like means the same thing to me. Like when I was reading through, I was like, yeah, the Native Americans are doing the exact opposite thing, and it means just as much to me as people who are putting flowers on. But it's just cool that like the Memorial Day is an ancient tradition.
Yeah.
But she ends it with the classic. So this lady is clearly a rich white lady.
Okay.
Because she ends it with every, rich conservative fear, which is that people like, I don't know, going into graveyards. I don't know what she was complaining about, but she says the gradual, decay, which will follow the train of moral degradation, which is essentially saying this next generation, there's a moral decline happening in America. And we know that that's not a thing, but every generation fears moral decline.
100%.
Yeah. And,
To keep it on military-based ideas here, I remember I had a Gunnery Sergeant Svetkovich. We called him Gunny Itch. And he used to love reading a quote that said something to that effect of, this generation of Marines coming up is going to be the laziest and the worst ever. And it was written in like 1805.
Yeah. In
pre-World War II, pre-World War I, talking about lazy Marines, you know what I'm saying? So it's always going to be said.
It's always going to be said. And if you are interested in that statistic, there's like tons of like Freakonomics. If you listen to their podcast, the economists go over it all the time, like behavioral economists. And like there is no evidence of moral decline. And yet every generation thinks so. And I've read the books and I feel like I understand it. And I'm pretty sure even today I said, this next generation of students, they are just so lazy compared to previous generation. Even though I know it's not true.
I've absolutely fallen trap to this.
Right?
I do skip the generation right below us. And I'm like, man, our kids' generation, the Minecraft generation, where they're just sitting there and like engineering all these different things on Minecraft.
And I hate them for it. Like, stop it. Go outside.
Yeah, right. But I am a little bit excited about where they're going to go and what they're going to end up creating. So have you been to the cemetery in Green Valley?
No.
In Fairfield? It's gorgeous. If I were to be buried, I'd probably be asked to be buried there, but
I think the last cemetery I went to was Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and I brought a bottle of wine and walked around drinking it with my friends, and so like that's the last thing I did there.
That sounds like you sound like a projectionist. Yeah,
that's an English major thing you do in Long Beach.
Very much. I'm sure you like felt really like sophisticated doing that.
That's great.
We're gonna listen to classical music. We're gonna listen to Tchaikovsky. But randomly, my wife, who is from the South Bay near San Jose, her grandpa is buried there, and he was a POW in...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was captured by Germany, and I believe, man, I want to say he was there for like a year, dude.
Jesus.
Came back to the States, and I was an idiot, and asked my father-in-law, I was like, oh, man, like, being raised by a man who was a POW, like, did that ever, like, come out, like, by, like, you're like, oh... And he was like, yeah, one time I didn't finish my plate of food, and then he started getting choked up, and I was like, I have a problem with like asking really stupid questions.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that was really stupid and like insensitive of me. But he has since then, he's an engineer, my father-in-law, and he has recreated the plane that his dad got shot down in. Yeah, and he flies it. He's going to be flying it on Memorial Day weekend.
I met him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
Oh, bro, he is a teddy bear.
I have a video of him like running after my son and your son, and I was like, that's a nice grandpa right there.
Mike Leggett is the nicest man on the face of the earth. So I go to visit his dad's gravesite, and I salute it while listening to Taps. And then I ran the Memorial Day weekend half marathon in Concord, and I put my medal on his stone. Wow. Just because, like, the POW thing is like, holy shit, dude.
That's a whole other ball game.
Yeah. So I try to, without being super intense and like moto about it, like motivated, I try to be conscious of the sacrifices people are just normal people have made.
Right,
You know, we
just
watch all these
normal
whole
people.
Hollywood movies. I was seeing this today. Dudes were talking about it on Reddit, on the USMC Reddit page. They were talking like, isn't it crazy how like all these movies just show Navy SEALs, and it's just like
always SEALs.
The entire military is just Navy SEAls. But when you watch Band of Brothers, like, this dude's a bookkeeper and he's fighting a war in Europe, and you know this guy dropped out of college, and they're normal guys,
Right.
Just normal guys,
Or just like even within, like Band of Brothers is such a good example because the show is lovely because they'll show like what I assume I would get in charge of, which is like, you're in charge of the mail, Kevin. Like, all right. But he still has to dodge mortar fire. Like,
right. You're going to sleep listening to bombs go off still.
And they're like, you have to get this order to that guy. And like, but there's artillery. And you're like, I don't give a shit. And he has to do it. And like one of the guys was like bringing potatoes and dies. And like, damn, this is good for me to hear. Like, this is just, you're right. It's just like the everyday sacrifice.
You said something super simple but actually really profound when you were telling me why you watched Band of Brothers, and you said sometimes I need to be reminded that life is intense sometimes.
Yeah, seriously, because my life is so chill. And
Dude,
and then I'll hear an air, like, because they're practicing, they just did an air show here, and the airplanes are really loud. And I was like, that was scary. And then
how terrifying.
literally I'm reading Let A Gulf, which has like thousands of planes fighting at one time. I'm like, that was probably pretty scary too. Like for anyone on the ground, like there's a lot of airplanes in the air.
Do you have any grandpas or did any World War II veterans or Vietnam veterans in your family?
It's like most of my uncles served in Vietnam.
What branch?
I don't know. They don't really like to. The Vietnam stuff doesn't like to talk about it.
No shit.
The uncles don't like to talk about it.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, my dad's brother was a Marine. I know that.
Yikes.
And I remember once he got like claustrophobic, and I was a kid who was just an asshole because kids are assholes. And he like got claustrophobic, and I was like, "You were a Marine in Vietnam," and he started yelling at me about how he used to have to sleep in open fields in Vietnam, and he didn't have anything to be claustrophobic about. And I really was humbled in that moment about like, he went through things that I don't understand. Like even as a kid, I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. But it sounds
Kevin
scary.
learned a valuable lesson.
Yeah, seriously. And I like, even if him and I disagree on many things, like I still love the guy for doing that and coming back and trying to be a human.
It seems to be, from what I understand about people who did not necessarily serve, but it seems to be like specifically our age. So
Right.
you and I are like 32. We're millennials or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, you know, who come back, I think there's a lot of compassion towards that.
Right.
People are like, oh yeah, dude, but he was like, he went overseas and did this, that, and the other. And everyone's like, oh damn shit. Okay. For real.
Right.
All right. Got you. It doesn't seem like people are insensitive about it. People seem to be very conscious and
Yeah, you know, all that stuff is so hard because when you're talking about the Vietnam vets, it's so hard when it was an unpopular war and an unpopular draft, and that's just a whole can of
we're getting
worms.
spit on, man. Coming
Yeah.
back home. The Vietnam thing really, really breaks my heart.
It does. It's such a complicated thing because I don't know what I try to think about, like, would I object, you know, and just go to prison? But then, like, you know, I have a wife and kids, and I don't know if I would just like give all of that stuff up right away. But like, I also really don't want to do that, and so I feel for all the people that had to do it.
They were forced.
They were
Yeah,
forced,
drafted.
right?
So for people to get mad at people who are drafted is pretty crazy for me.
It is, and so like that really shows you that like there was such a divide. It was
Yeah.
such a complicated atmosphere. Mm-hmm. But to answer your other question, so like my grandparents, both my like my dad's dad and my mom's dad, they're both in the Navy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was this World War II or just a peace?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what my dad's dad did. I think he was an electrician, but he has quite a few medals.
Lots of Navy guys are electricians made, electricians tech.
My mom's dad, he was telling me he actually got to salute my brother for his first salute, which was really cool. And I got to witness it, and I was like,
Did you get chills?
Yeah.
Did you want to cry?
I did. Like,
I love it.
And I'm not like the most patriotic person, but like
it's just epic.
Yeah,
it's just epic, dude.
It was like seeing like your grandpa who's like pretty even keel, like get emotional, like this is cool. Like this is a big
that's
moment.
A hella huge deal. Did your brother cry?
My brother doesn't like I never see like tears streaming out.
He's just a very
he's a sub
stoic.
Nuke. He's a sub nuke. So
and my brother, same with my brothers. they don't cry.
They do it differently with their emotions.
They go into a corner and read Scientific American.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But my mom's dad, he worked on Midway.
What?
Yeah, and he worked on the printing press, which is cool.
What?
Yeah, because the printing press was a thing back then, and like they had to get their news and like they had to get their information.
Shit.
And so he would like get the information, like that was his skill. And he showed me like we toured it together, and he like showed it to me. It was really cool.
That's so crazy to hear, how many random people. There's my grandpa was in the military.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like it turns out. A lot.
Turns
a lot
out
of people
World
served.
War II required many people.
Yeah.
And Vietnam required many people.
Both
we've been
of
pretty
my
fortunate.
we have. Both of my grandparents on my mom's and my dad's side served in World War II.
Okay.
Grandpa was Navy, went to Okinawa. He was a mailman.
But he went to Okinawa?
Yeah, he said he from what I remember, he used to fall asleep listening to Japanese stepping on their own mines, on their own. Yeah, shit like that.
Okinawa was not cool.
No. No. My dad was born in a Navy hospital in Chicago, I believe. My grandpa on my mom's side was Army Air Corps before there was an Air Force, and he went to the European theater. Got to go to Germany, and I still have a Nazi helmet that he brought home.
Yeah?
And a Nazi belt that he got from, I believe, a bunker on an airfield that was abandoned.
Yeah.
I also had an uncle that was a Marine in Vietnam, whom was very also obviously affected by that. Yeah, tons of random relatives that served.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So thanks, guys, to all those out there who are listening. Memorial Day is neat.
So I read this article from CNN trying to understand more about Memorial Day. Memorial Day, the unofficial start to summer in America.
Really? I saw something about it's always the last Monday of May. Is that right?
Last Monday, May.
Unofficial start of summer.
Unofficial. And I was like, is that like a good thing? Or is that we get a 3-day weekend thing? And I'm an optimist, so it's a good thing. Or it's a both and. It's hey, thank you everybody for doing this thing that I can't imagine doing. The best thing that I could possibly do is live a great life and the freedom that you have helped provide. Right?
That's, you know what? Could not have said it better.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay. I love that you said that.
That's the way I'm going to look at it.
And again, this is coming from two dudes who don't have American flags on their bumpers. We don't, you know what I mean? Like,
but I've been reading a lot of that. The Marine Reddit forum, so I may put that bumper sticker on there one day.
Are you gonna put Molon Labe on there?
I'm not gonna put fucking Molon Labe. The Molon Labe one still kills me.
Oh man,
I really went through a moral quandary about do I delete this part of the podcast about the Molon Labe bumper sticker?
Are you talking about because losing listeners? Is that was
yeah? Because I was like, do they feel strongly enough to where I should delete this? And I was like, no. If Molon Labe is the hill you die on, then like,
go for it, dude.
Like, that's the hill you die on, friend.
We live in Vacaville. We are surrounded by this demographic. It's all good. I am peaceful and kind to all folks.
Yeah, I'll still teach your kid how to read.
There you go. Right? Yeah, I'll still help your kid get to school on time. Yeah. It's all good, man. Yeah, man. Thank you for listening again. For those of you who have been listening to us, we are humbled and super appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've obviously alluded to what our next battle is. Do you want to just say it? And tell
Yeah.
me?
So next week we're getting into the battle of Leyte Gulf. It's kind of a ballet, but have you read Harrison Bergeron?
No.
So it's a short story, and like for the ballet part, they all have to wear, if anyone's like attractive, they have to wear an ugly mask, and if anyone's like athletic, they have to wear weights, and if anyone's like really like smart, they have to wear like headphones and glasses.
Really?
And Leyte Gulf is kind of like that. Like if anybody was competent, they had to like have headphones on, blasting screamo, like the whole day. And so instead of being competent, they had to make dumb decisions the whole time.
Yeah, communication was key, and it did not go well.
For either side.
Spoiler alert.
No one comes out of Leyte Gulf looking like, that is a competent military.
Right. Oh,
This is a good use of human life.
Speaking of Memorial Day.
Right? That's what I was thinking the whole time of Leyte Gulf. Like, this is a good use of life, of human life.
So, just a quick little tidbit from Leyte Gulf that I learned, and this is like shout out to the Navy. More sailors died in World War II than Marines.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Wow.
So, anchors away. Hoo-yah.
Is anchors away what you say in the Navy? Should I know that?
It's like their hymn. Anchors away. Did you not go to your brother's? Oh, well, he was an officer.
He's an officer.
I was going to say, did you go to your brother's boot camp graduation? But you did not.
Hey, redacted. What? What's the main song of the Navy? Cool. I love learning about submarines.
Anchors away. Anyway, thank you for listening to us. Hit us up on the social medias. We're on Twitter at BattleBuddies4, Instagram battle_buddies_pod.
Pod, probably.
And then we're also on Reddit, which you can find us, which has been a really cool community so far. Very fun. And if you want to email us any ideas or any battles you want us to go in the future, or just say what's up, you can email us at battlebuddiespod@gmail.com.
Or if you just want to keep the internet tradition alive of just hate, feel free.
Oh, we absolutely, yeah, we encourage hate. Please tell us everything we're doing wrong. All right.
See you guys next week.
Adios.